A strange thing happened to me this morning. I was crossing the street and was almost hit by a car. Fortunately, I jumped back in time to avoid being hit. It was a terrible experience, and I won't forget it. Yesterday was such a beautiful day, we decided to go for a drive. We prepared a picnic lunch and drove down by the river. After a while, we found a shady place under some poplar trees. On the way back home, we had a flat tire. It was after dark when we got back, and we were all tired. I wish you would give me a more detailed description of your trip. Speaking of trips, did I ever tell you about the experience I had? We used to have a lot of fun when we were that age. I can't recall the exact circumstances. I never realized that someday I would be living in New York. We never imagined that John would become a doctor. We were looking for a house to rent for the summer. Are you trying to find a furnished house? This split-level house is for rent. It's a bargain. That house is for sale. It has central heating. We have a few kitchen things and a dining room set. This is an interesting floor plan. Please show me the basement. The roof has leaks in it, and the front steps need to be fixed. We've got to get a bed and a dresser for the bedroom. Does the back door have a lock on it? They've already turned on the electricity. The house is ready. I'm worried about the appearance of the floor. I need to wax it. If you want a towel, look in the linen closet. What style furniture do you have? Is it traditional? We have drapes for the living room, but we need kitchen curtains. The house needs painting. It's in bad condition. What are you going to wear today? I'm going to wear my blue suit. Is that all right? I have 2 suits to send to the cleaners. I have some shirts to send to the laundry. You ought to have that coat cleaned and pressed. I've got to get this shirt washed and ironed. All my suits are dirty. I don't have anything to wear. You'd better wear a light jacket. It's chilly today. This dress doesn't fit me anymore. I guess I've outgrown this pair of trousers. These shoes are worn out. They've lasted a long time. I can't fasten this collar button. Why don't you get dressed now? Put on your work clothes. My brother came in, changed his clothes, and went out again. I didn't notice you were wearing your new hat. You have your point of view, and I have mine. You approach it in a different way than I do. I won't argue with you, but I think you're being unfair. That's a liberal point of view. He seems to have a lot of strange ideas. I don't see any point in discussing the question any further. What alternatives do I have? Everyone is entitled to his own opinion. There are always 2 sides to everything. We have opposite views on this. Please forgive me. I didn't mean to start an argument. I must know your opinion. Do you agree with me? What point are you trying to make? Our views are not so far apart, after all. We should be able to resolve our differences. If it doesn't rain tomorrow, I think I'll go shopping. There's a possibility we'll go, but it all depends on the weather. If I have time tomorrow, I think I'll get a haircut. I hope I remember to ask the barber not to cut my hair too short. My son wants to be a policeman when he grows up. If I get my work finished in time, I'll leave for New York Monday. Suppose you couldn't go on the trip. How would you feel? What would you say if I told you I couldn't go with you? If I buy that car, I'll have to borrow some money. If I went with you, I'd have to be back by 6 o'clock. One of these days, I'd like to take a vacation. As soon as I can, I'm going to change jobs. There's a chance he won't be able to be home for Christmas. We may be able to help you in some way. If you were to attend the banquet, what would you wear? What would you have done last night if you hadn't had to study? I would have gone on the picnic if it hadn't rained. If you had gotten up earlier, you would have had time for breakfast. If I had had time, I would have called you. Would he have seen you if you hadn't waved to him? If he had only had enough money, he would have bought that house. I wish you had called me back the next day, as I had asked you to. If you hadn't slipped and fallen, you wouldn't have broken your leg. If I had known you wanted to go, I would have called you. Had I known you didn't have a key, I wouldn't have locked the door. She would have gone with me, but she didn't have time. If I had asked for directions, I wouldn't have gotten lost. Even if we could have taken a vacation, we might not have wanted to. Everything would have been all right if you hadn't said that. Looking back on it, I wish we hadn't given in so easily. What is it you don't like about winter weather? I don't like it when the weather gets real cold. I can't stand summer weather. The thing I don't like about driving is all the traffic on the road. He doesn't like the idea of going to bed early. I like to play tennis, but I'm not a very good player. I don't like spinach, even though I know it's good for me. I'm afraid you're being too particular about your food. He always finds fault with everything. She doesn't like anything I do or say. You have wonderful taste in clothes. What's your favorite pastime? What did you like best about the movie? I didn't like the taste of the medicine, but I took it anyway. Why do you dislike the medicine so much? If you want my advice, I don't think you should go. I suggest that you tear up the letter and start over again. It's only a suggestion, and you can do what you please. Let me give you a little fatherly advice. If you don't like it, I wish you would say so. Please don't take offense. I only wanted to tell you what I think. In my opinion, the house isn't worth the price they're asking. My feeling is that you ought to stay home tonight. It's none of my business, but I think you ought to work harder. In general, my reaction is favorable. If you don't take my advice, you'll be sorry. I've always tried not to interfere in your affairs. I'm old enough to make up my own mind. Thanks for the advice, but this is something I have to figure out myself. He won't pay attention to anybody. You're just wasting your breath. Would you please hold the door for me? You're very kind to take the trouble to help me. I wish I could repay you somehow for your kindness. I'm afraid it was a bother for you to do this. It wasn't any bother. I was glad to do it. There's just one last favor I need to ask of you. I'd be happy to help you in any way I can. Would you mind giving me a push? My car has stalled. Would you be so kind as to open this window for me? It's stuck. If there's anything else I can do, please let me know. This is the last time I'll ever ask you to do anything for me. I certainly didn't intend to cause you so much inconvenience. He'll always be indebted to you for what you've done. Could you lend me $10? I've left my wallet at home. I'd appreciate it if you would turn out the lights. I'm sleepy. I didn't realize the time had passed so quickly. I've got a lot of things to do before I can leave. For one thing, I've got to drop by the bank to get some money. It'll take almost all my savings to buy the ticket. Oh, I just remembered something. I have to apply for a passport. I almost forgot to have the phone disconnected. It's a good thing you reminded me to take my heavy coat. I never would have thought of it if you hadn't mentioned it. I'll see you off at the airport. They're calling your flight now. You barely have time to make it. You'd better run, or you're going to be left behind. Don't forget to cable to let us know you have arrived safely. I'm sure I've forgotten something, but it's too late now. Do you have anything to declare for customs? You don't have to pay any duty on personal belongings.